Pressing the start button. There's nothing you can do about it. I wish you'd never joined this podcast.
Yeah.
What was it? 14? Yeah, 14 through 19. I'm just going to read them quickly before we start.
That's what I did.
I've read them. I've read them, everyone. Hello there, and welcome to TapCaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast where one of the hosts is incredibly blurry and very out of focus. So,
yeah.
Well, neither host can focus, but one of them's out of focus.
Yeah, you know how in episode 4, to make the speeder bite or the speeder effect, he put Vaseline on the camera lens?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did that too.
What were you doing with Vaseline at your desk?
Don't want to talk about it.
Okay. Well, today's topic is going to be Star Wars Legacy, issues 14 through 19, the Claws of the Dragon arc. That's CLAWS, not CLAUSE. It's not a legal drama, unfortunately, like Krayt was.
No.
But how are you doing, Justin? I didn't introduce you.
I'm doing well. I think we should talk kind of a boring set of issues. Spoiler alert. So I think we should talk any Star Wars news, including the Andor trailer, beforehand.
Beforehand? Okay.
Beforehand.
So are we going to start with the Andor trailer, or are we going to start with the rumors?
Start with the Andor trailer.
Okay. Well, an Andor trailer came out, and it was good, but there was definitely a choice that caused a bit of a ruckus on the onlines. They used real music instead of Star Wars music, which I feel like has happened a couple times now. What was the other one that had? I guess Skeleton Crew had Major Tom, but in Huttese.
Yeah, Huttese Major Tom. Yeah, I feel like the music also, it sounded like it would be like trailer music CTV or CBC would have used for like I don't know, Republic of Doyle or something. like tell me you can't hear that and imagine him running up the streets of St. John's, Newfoundland.
Sorry, I had you double playing through the mic. I apologize to everyone's ears, but yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
it's on a crossover episode with Murdoch Mysteries or something. It's
totally. Wow, that would be time machine involved, I guess.
I think it happened though.
Okay.
I might be making this up, but
I used to really like Republic of Doyle. Actually, good show.
Dana watches Murdoch Mysteries all the time, and I like that.
I like meeting Dana. I could tell.
Okay, so I just started Googling Republic of Doyle Murdoch Mysteries, and crossover was the first. This is the first of 2 CBC crossover episodes between Murdoch Mysteries and Republic of Doyle. Yeah.
Isn't Murdoch Mystery set in like the 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Just checking. Just making sure.
Well, I think it goes back in time or something. Like, they don't go back in time, but it's like
he finds like something that they had in the episode or something.
Like his great-grandfather or something.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah.
Well, fair.
We need to change this podcast to being the canon of CBC.
I think that we should just have a show where, like, instead of talking Star Wars, which I'm over it. I'm over it. Instead of talking Star Wars, it's like we get like 6 Canadian shows on rotation. We can do Murdoch Mysteries. We can do Trailer Park Boys. We can do Corner Gas. We could do Degrassi. We could do Radio Free Roscoe and one more. And just each week we just cover a different episode of one of those shows. I feel like that would make me much happier at times.
But think of all the money we'll be leaving on the table from TapCaf.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Think of the $1,000 over 4 years that I could get in my bank account.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the trailer looked really good. Like, it's Andor. I was going to be excited for Andor either way. We get some fun shots of Mon Mothma at the dance. We get Cassian and presumably Gorman.
Wedding?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Isn't that the Bohemian Grove thing, like I was saying?
No, there's not going to be a documentary that John Ronson puts out later about breaking in with Alex Jones.
I mean, who would be like what would the Epstein Island of Star Wars be? Oh, like that one from remember what's his
Palpatine
name?
Skyhook?
Plagueis? Palpatine Skyhook, or Shizor Skyhook, maybe, considering he's got like the pheromones, and I think I saw him with a miner in one of these Shadows of the Empire comic. And no, remember they have like the hunting grounds in
Yeah.
Plagueis? I feel like there's definitely a sex thing there too, for sure.
Palpatine loved Lian Pipe, as we've learned.
Yeah, he did.
But
Nothing
yeah,
else to do.
I guess the other sort of controversial thing from the trailer, from the Andor announcements, is that Andor is going to be 4 blocks of
Woke,
episodes.
unfortunately? Oh, okay.
Well, fortunately woke.
Yeah.
Don't turn on us now, Justin.
No, I have not. Not in our time of need. There'd be so much money to be made right now as a left wing grifter. Have you considered it? I
I
have.
consider it every day.
Like I look at like
I got
what's
the
that guy's
quote for the
name?
basement, and I really consider.
Oh, what's that guy's name? David Packman. Do you know him?
Yeah,
I don't know if he's a grifter. Like I don't actually watch enough of his stuff, but I think he got like 300,000 subs this month. And
that's
it's
I
just like
couldn't eat that much.
all he does is he does one like video, um and then he breaks it up into like 6 different like clips and uploads them daily, and it's just basically reading the news.
Well, that's just content farming. We know that very well. Like you've seen our clips channels.
But I mean, yeah, but like I'm not hating either. Like he's gonna make it bank. Like he must have been a little, because on one hand, yeah, he's obviously not a Trump supporter, but on the other hand, good for the wallet to be him. What
Yeah.
would he be talking about under President Kamala Harris?
I mean, the same stuff he was talking about under President Biden. I don't think he was doing poorly before.
Yeah, probably not.
But anyways, anything in particular you want to talk about with Cass? How do you feel about the 4 episode blocks?
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth on it. Like, so on one hand, it would have been nice to have like 12 weeks of episodes to look forward to. And as a creator, uh, it's gonna be stressful having to weekly do 3 episodes. Um, but like we also, I mean, I think back to our when the first 3 episodes released, like we were thinking this could have been received pretty poorly, or not poorly, but I think the first 3 episodes really benefited from having the complete arc go out. And I definitely did remember like during the Aldani arc, episode 2, you're like, oh, okay, like yeah, not a whole lot there on its own, but then when you put it all together, it's really good. So I do think it's the right decision.
Just wrong for
People,
people like us.
yeah, like the big thing against it that I've heard is, oh well, you're removing a lot of the speculating and like the discussion. I do think that's a bit of a revisionist history, because most of the discussion points were after oh, I just got clear again. Were after the final episode of the arc. So like I don't know. Like I think back to like the prison episode. Like yeah, people got excited when he was like no more than 7 or whatever the line was, but all the real discussion I think came after the arc was over. So that's fine, and I do think that Disney is also trying to game the system a little bit, with how viewership numbers have been reported based on, it's always like
Mhm.
monthly or weekly. So it's like how many hours watched did Andor get for this week with
Yeah.
3 long episodes out. Yeah, they might. I do think that's part of it.
Yeah, like especially as a content creator, I prefer weekly. And
Hmm.
even just for the time investment, I prefer 1 episode a week. Because like
Yeah.
Dana still hasn't seen the rest of Skeleton Crew, and we've got to finish watching that. Like she hasn't seen the last 2 episodes. I watched it without her,
Mhm.
but like it It's the same problem I have with Big Brother, where it's too much releasing in a week. I fall behind, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm out of it. So Andor needs to not be like Big Brother, is my hope.
Yeah. Okay.
But
hopefully no one's racist and gets kicked off. Well, actually, that's kind of the whole point. Except instead of it's a person, it's like the Empire.
Yeah. They're gonna cancel director credit.
You wear one white cape and crazy what they do to you.
Well, the other do we even want to talk about the other thing? I watched your video. It was good. Nice discussion of the other rumors that
Yeah, so the rumor is that a 71-year-old woman may be stepping down. 71-year-old woman plans to retire. So yes, that woman is Kathleen Kennedy, and she's been the nexus for a long time of a lot of Star Wars discourse. I don't particularly like Kathleen Kennedy. I don't really know a whole lot about her. You know, a lot of people say, "Oh, Kathleen Kennedy produced all of these movies before Star Wars." I don't know what that means. Like, what did she do? Like without Kathleen Kennedy, without Kathleen Kennedy, there wouldn't be Jurassic Park or E.T. or whatever. Maybe, but on the other hand, I'm also not willing to burn Kathleen Kennedy on the stake for the missteps of Star Wars as a brand. Like, I think if I were going to like choose the great evil character of like the Disney Star Wars stuff, I think it's Bob Iger, who seemed to really have set dates for the sequel trilogy movies, which I think really kind of hurt things. I think was a little short-sighted. But I don't like to play the inside baseball kind of game and pretend that I know who is making the decisions that I don't like. All I know is that there are decisions that I like, there are decisions that I don't like. Hopefully once there's another person, they make more decisions that I like, but even then, who knows?
Yeah, like I always avoid talking about this because it feels like you're just having two different discussions a lot of the time, where like there's the logistical discussion about like what a president is, what an executive producer is, where she's like facilitating the work that people are doing. And obviously you can't just like take what people say on the Behind the Magic uh, episode as just being evidence of how great she is for like facilitating stuff with uh, making all the shows, but like that gives at least some idea of what her actual job is. And I feel like most of what people engage with isn't that. So yeah, we really don't know what the logistics of being president of Lucasfilm are, which decisions are made by her versus by the company. Because like logistically, the criticism you can make of Lucasfilm as a company over the last few years, like logistically, is whether you like or don't like the people involved in the project. So like I'm not a fan of J.J. Abrams. I was never a fan of J.J. Abrams. So when J.J. Abrams was announced as the director or as being heavily involved with episode 7 and 9, that didn't excite me. But like that's not necessarily a criticism of the company. That's just not a director whose work I usually like. But it feels like for a lot of people, it's not just, oh, I'm criticizing this based on the fact that all these movies get announced and they don't come out. When again, we don't know what the reasons behind any of that are. It's like they think the president of Lucasfilm is the one who sits there and decides the lore on like whether Luke is getting married. And maybe George Lucas did that because he was creating the story, but that's not really what Kathleen Kennedy's job has ever been. So with a lot of the more vitriolic complaints, when it's like, oh, Rise of Skywalker ruined this piece of the story, like that's not Kennedy's decision. Like that's not the president of Lucasfilm's decision. So it's just entirely pointless to have that discussion with people most of the time.
Yeah, like if I were to where I lay am more likely to lay blame is like the failure to get a movie
Yeah.
really going. And like, they've announced so many movies and so many of them have been, dust in the wind. Like I said this in my video, but I feel like a lot of Disney's problems in both Star Wars and Marvel are just kind of how they chose to really focus heavily on streaming. And I think that they weren't selective with some of the projects, and I think that's kind of like I think in a world where Star Wars hadn't put out some subpar or even just average shows. Like I think a Skeleton Crew maybe is a bit more popular. Um, yeah,
I don't know, like the landscape of how content works is just so different from what it was even 20 years ago.
yeah, it is.
And I feel like Star Wars fans or the fans of any franchise have this idea of this cultural space that the franchise they like should occupy. But if you run that by anyone else, they're kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? These were just
Mm.
some mediocre movies that I went to see because that's the thing people did. Like, no one really holds up any of the Star Wars movies as this grand cinematic experience. They're just fun movies that people went to. So I don't know even that necessarily much of that was lost in the products that even I don't like. Like
I
I
think you could argue like the first two movies were pretty special as like genre defining blockbusters.
Yeah, but like there it was never there's a lot of like impressive technical stuff that Star Wars did, and that was true of both the OT and the prequel trilogy. But like
Hmm.
the idea that Star Wars must always occupy this cultural position that like almost nothing does anymore
Hmm.
is I don't know if that's a standard you can ever reach again.
No, there's
And
too much stuff.
even streaming wise, like how successful can the streaming shows be? Like when you're this deep into a franchise, like is putting out if they did one show in 5 years and it just did like super fucking well, was top of every streaming chart, and then just did nothing else, like maybe that's how you'd be able to do it by just making sure that it's not
Yeah.
oversaturated. But then is that actually better for Star Wars? I don't know. So, like, I don't know if the numbers necessarily reflect the quality, because, like, you can say you dislike Acolyte, like Skeleton Crew, or vice versa, or Andor, but, like, the numbers for all those shows aren't that far off of each other.
Hmm. Yeah, I just think like with Star Wars, you get a really. I feel like going into it, they had such a high ceiling and a high floor. Where like I feel like a lot of people gave Mandalorian a chance,
Yeah.
and like Grogu obviously made that to a million, and it did achieve like this cultural thing that like very few shows could achieve on their own otherwise.
Hmm.
Like obviously Stranger Things did it. I do feel a little bit like, and maybe this isn't true, but when you start putting out bad shows or okay shows, I do feel like the floor starts to drop a little bit. But maybe that's not true.
Maybe, but, like, certainly having better stuff all the time will do better, but I'm not sure what the band on that is, right? Like,
Yeah.
uh, let's say you just rearrange the release order for a lot of the shows. I feel like
Mhm.
whatever's in Mandalorian's position probably does almost as well as the Mandalorian. Like maybe there's a band on that based on like a slightly better show does slightly better, slightly worse one does worse. But like if you put out Ahsoka in that spot, I feel like it probably does just as well as the Mandalorian. You maybe don't have the cultural impact of Grogu
Yeah, I think
specifically,
Grogu carried a lot.
but like is that a mark of the quality of the show or is that just because Grogu's cute? Like I don't know that.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying Mando season 1 was so successful because Grogu did a lot. Like
Yeah.
Grogu had my parents watching it, my wife watching it, like the memes in like 2000 and what was it, 2019
Yeah.
were everywhere. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I just don't know what the bar on quality has to be in order to maintain that much interest for that long. Because like what Marvel has certainly done better than Star Wars is get movies out and get shows out. Like they're doing both, uh, regardless of the quality. But like, is the if they just put out like stuff on the level of whatever you'd say the level of like Iron Man or Captain America, Civil War, were like if you just assume that the level of that stayed constant, I think you'd still probably see a decline over time in
Yeah,
viewership
I
until
do
like
feel like
some new reset kind of happens.
I just feel like people are maybe generally a lot less like in the door just because it's a franchise. Like
Hmm.
the new Captain America movie is going to be a bomb. Like it's doing really poorly, and you look at like Iron Man 2 and 3, which were like the definition of airplane movies,
Hmm.
and Like they earned, $1 billion, like essentially in today's money. And maybe people are just getting tired of, maybe like the novelty of the interconnected universes is starting to wear out a bit.
Well, I feel like a lot of people see it as a burden more than anything. 'Cause, like, I'm super behind on Marvel stuff, even though I'd say I'm a fan of it, just because like I haven't seen a good chunk of the movies in the last few years, and I feel like if I haven't seen those ones, I'm not going to see this one, and then I'm just too far behind. I stopped watching Moon Knight halfway through, and then kind of haven't watched
I
anything
tried twice
since.
with Moon Knight. I really did.
Because like even though I just like the only Star Wars stuff, like the only like visual Star Wars whatever show or movie Star Wars content that I thought was like not just didn't care for it, but I thought was like actively bad was probably Mandalorian season 3. Uh and like I still don't know if I feel like it would have done significantly better if I thought it was better. Like it there's this core audience that you kind of get to with a lot of these properties. And maybe being a Survivor fan for as long as I have kind of already has me prepared for that being what it is. Because like Survivor goes through good and bad periods. But like it's not worse than it was season one when it was getting 50 million or like 30 million people watch season one, 50 million people watch season two, and then it's just been a slow decline into about 5 to 10 million for the last 10 years. And it's not because like they haven't put out great seasons or bad seasons in that time. It's just this is the audience that is willing to watch this much Survivor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kelsey's watching right now. Deadline actually, like less than 10 minutes ago, just put out an article, or it was 24 minutes ago, put out an interview with Kathleen Kennedy. She said, "The truth is, and I want to say loud and clear, I am not retiring, but hold on. I will never retire from movies. I will die making movies. That is the first thing that's important to say." So that
That's an
should be clear.
OSHA violation.
Yeah. Just a fucking corpse. Like,
If you die in making movies, there's someone that seems like a producer issue.
yeah. And she continues saying that she's working on the Mando movie and Sean Levy's movie. However, um, she also says that very soon there will be an announcement, um, kind of about what's next. So
She's playing like flash forward Ray.
yeah,
But
old
I
ass.
think like the main thing with it is something you said in your video that I totally agree with. Like I don't think anything is going like we don't know what her impact is, and it'd be hard to expect that the actual functions of Lucasfilm will significantly change, especially given the parallels to Marvel. Like I don't think anything significantly changes without her, other than like the details of production that we don't have access to. It changes certain pipelines. Uh,
Mhm.
we did get a donation from Joel though, saying it's been reported that Feige and Kennedy lost a lot of control over their studios during the Chapek era or Chapek, who forced them to put out streaming content. They only now got it back in 2023. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
think
like
Disney
who
just
knows? Maybe it happened. Chapek was there for a bit. Bobby Iger's back and getting paid $50 million a year. Um, so the two final questions, from the interview are probably the most relevant to this discussion. Will you step out as Lucasfilm boss this year? She says, "We really don't know at this stage. There's so much going on, Mike. I don't know." Mike is presumably her Obi-Wan Kenobi figure, who she is hallucinating as the conversation is happening. And then the last question from Deadline is, when it happens, who will make that decision? She says, "Me. It's my decision. This is 100% my decision." So for the idea that things are going to change and like that this is some big repudiation of her tenure, it's clearly not true. Um, so I if you think you hate her and her work, I don't know if I would celebrate. Um, because who knows? It seems like even when she retires from that role, she's going to continue to be involved.
All right, so let's move on to the main topic for tonight: the origins of Darth Krayt in Legacy: Claws of the Dragon. So I'm gonna lay out what happens in these issues for you. Uh, so there's this evil emperor, a character everyone thought was dead, right? But he's come back and he's taken over the galaxy with the Empire, ruling from the core, of course. And so Skywalker, everyone loves Skywalker. He's drawn in a slightly edgier way than you might expect a Skywalker to be in these comics by Dark Horse. And so what Skywalker does is he decides he's going to go to this Sith Emperor's fortress. He goes to the Emperor's fortress, and he gets this idea that he is going to, you know what he's going to do, Justin? He's going to take him down from the inside. He's going to pretend that he's fallen to the dark side, that he's going to be this new protege for this returned Sith Emperor, a character, again, who everyone thought had died. But you know what? You know what happens? It's revealed he has not actually fallen to the dark side quite yet, although he's come close. He's come close. He's done some things that he shouldn't be proud of, but
it was all a ruse.
It was all a ruse.
Yeah, I actually had that in my notes as well. We get a mini Dark Empire remake here, and we get another a reveal that I hinted at the end of last episode that we covered, that the true identity of Cade's mother. She's also the Imperial.
Yeah, like we get. I
Just
forgot.
At the very end, we see that the Imperial has the photograph, and that's not confirmation that she is his mother in a disguise. Although, you know, they play the kind of Batman Bruce Wayne thing where they're never together in the same place. But yeah, they're the same person. So we also in these episodes meet Cade's half sister, who almost shoots him down. So.
Yeah, and much like in the original trilogy, a Skywalker is shot down by his sister. Not in the way that happened before, though.
Yeah. Hopefully he didn't have a boner this time.
Oh.
Well. He was the... Yeah.
If you look at any like frame, any panel of Cade, you can just assume that he's probably
65%. Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't got a lot to say about these issues.
There are a few things we can.
There are a few things. So like, I'm kind of at the point where I'm really enjoying the world building. I really liked going back to Coruscant. That one shot, or that one panel rather, with the Dianoga. Did you see that one? That was really cool. There was like, it's when Cade gets knocked out and captured, and there's just like a random Dianoga swimming in Coruscant because the planet's just gone a fucking mess.
Well, that's just the Underworld, right?
Yeah, but it reminded me of Shadows of the Empire because there is that Dianoga. Maybe the same one. Because that Dianoga also was on Coruscant, now that I think about it. So,
well, I think this is also when... So Cade gets... Or not Cade, sorry. Darth Krayt gets confirmed as Ashrad Head here. And I think after this issue is when issue 0 comes out. That is kind of like an explainer for everything.
yeah.
So, was it known amongst the community that Krayt was Het before this?
I have no idea.
I'm trying to remember back to 2006 and whether I knew that.
Was not reading comics in 2006.
Yeah, I didn't. I was on internet message boards, but I wasn't reading the comics, so I don't know what things were.
Yeah. Either way, it must have been pretty fun. But so the backstory is that, for those who haven't read it, and you'll hear this referenced a lot, especially when we'll talk about Kenobi season 2. So Darth Krayt, the kind of main bad guy, is his name is Ashrad Het. He was born a Tusken Raider. I think he's just a biological human though.
Yeah.
But he was born among the Tusken Raiders. He trains as a Jedi. He returns. Actually, I don't know if he was born among the Tusken Raiders. But either way,
I think he was. They just assume
was.
that like Tuskens are humans.
Yeah, his father was too. Sharad Het, who we hear what's her name reference Vizier. So he goes, he fights during the Clone Wars. Order 66 happens. He goes back among the Tusken Raiders, and he basically, almost Boba Fett style, leads them to, plunder and pillage until Obi-Wan is like, "Hey, you shouldn't be doing that," and he fights him and he cuts his arm off.
Settler Colonial Obi-Wan was like, "It doesn't matter what happened to them. This is their land now."
Yeah, I feel like Obi-Wan, I don't know if he needed to give that many fucks about it. I wouldn't have been bothering myself, but I think he was also probably worried about them just finding it, like that leading to the discovery of Luke is the big thing.
Yeah, like other than upholding his ideals of denying the Tusken Raiders a state in that region, he probably just didn't want Luke to get fucked up as well. But he's got to stand up for what the Jedi are supposed to be. He's like, "Hey, this isn't us." And naturally, Cade,
"Hey, you're not like this.
Hey, smarten up. Get off the planet." But then so Cade just objects to this on the grounds that all the Jedi were killed, even though literally like 20 minutes ago he was talking to Kakruk.
Yeah,
and he's going to be talking to Trissa, who he presumably knows exists.
Yeah,
it's Kakruk just not telling everyone that he didn't die in the Purge and then just fucked off for 100 years. Doesn't help in the Yuzon Vong War.
Yeah, I mean, so he also has some not Kakruk, but Ashrad, before he becomes Darth Krayt, he kind of has some weird time issues where he goes into to kind of get his training, and he thinks he's going to come out and kill Vader, but the war's ended, and it's kind of right before the Yuzon Vong invasion.
Yeah.
On his way out, he gets picked up by a ship.
He's in stasis on Korriban, right?
Yeah.
And like Vader and Palpatine are coming and going to Korriban the whole time. Meanwhile, you got like the tribe there. You got Het taking a nap. It's a busy place.
Yeah. So, and keep in mind too, we've got like 3 different Sith groups on the go right now. I was trying to remember. So this comes out before Fate of the Jedi, which is why you don't hear him mention Abeloth. Because that's a thing too. A pretty big thing. That would have been nice to.
Yeah.
Anyway,
like this started coming out concurrently with Legacy of the Force.
So you do hear references to Jason, and Lumaya. We also had references to Lumaya, which was nice. And I do think this kind of walks back some of the Vizier stuff a little bit, where not walks it back, but he's like, you can't trust her. Like, she lies.
Yeah, the Vizier stuff is always tricky, where I feel like this is where you get the most, like, in-universe, from her own mouth, ideas that she's a Darksider, rather than just kind of fucked up. Where you can also just take that as a lie, like the idea that she trained with Palpatine. She's just telling that to Krayt to be a little scamp, as she always is. But then she walks out of the room saying, "Remember, Krayt, be angry." And okay, like that's a little too.
Yeah. So, yeah, because we learn more about why she's gone in this. And that she was, and I think we learn about it in Legacy as well, but she was Palpatine's apprentice and tries to kill him, in short, basically.
Yeah, and that's why she's actually out in the unknown regions doing this Onamacicot stuff and ending up with the Yuzon Vong. And it also shows like the Yuzon, like part of the Yuzon Vong being in the unknown regions for a while, rather than outside of the galaxy. Which I don't know if
he was like they could have warned them still.
Yeah, because this is all before. This is not quite Clone Wars era. A little bit after that. This is before his stasis. Yeah, or no, it's after. Anyways, but
it's after. It's
but
like one of the last places.
There definitely were Yuzon Vong in the unknown regions at that point. They were fighting the Chiss for a while. I just don't remember if Vergere was there on the earlier ones with Ilan or Falong at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, that's kind of his backstory, and he's once again changing how the Sith operate. Obviously, we talked about that before. One Sith is different than two Sith. Also, blue Sith, red Sith, or blue Sith. But yeah, he's got a different thing. Basically, the Sith are all vested in him, which really isn't different at all from what Palpatine was like. Like it's almost the exact same.
Yeah, it's Palpatine's rule of 1.
Different apprentices.
Yeah, well, Palpatine was doing the rule of 1, and then Krayt did the 1 Sith. So it's
like how many apprentices, like dark side apprentices, did Palpatine have? Like the dude was stacked.
Yeah,
obviously Vader's the main one, but Mara Jade, sure.
No, didn't
Cedric
call her a
the
Sith.
others.
They weren't called Sith. So even though Lady Lumaya gets to claim the mantle of Sith Lord,
literally Lady Darth Vader, Jarek. Come on, man.
Yeah, but Jarek's kind of a nerd.
Yeah, he is.
The Inquisitors are just losers.
Jarek is who Elon Musk thinks he is.
He wants to be Iron Man. Instead, he's Antonis Tremaine.
Oh, Christ.
Send him the Agricorps boys.
Yeah. In a Cybertruck. Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying more in this comic more than anything else. I think like the world building, seeing Coruscant, definitely some echoes of the past in terms of Dark Empire, but also, you know, we get a mix, we get a rearranged original trilogy here. We get kind of a hint at that at the beginning with the Wookiee and the Scoundrel in the cantina.
Yeah,
but obviously it's got its own edgy, very like if I were to describe these comics, the word would be stinky. Like they just seem stinky.
They do.
Like they just seem really musky and really stinky.
There's the Elan of Musk coming off of them, the life force of Musk.
I just like every panel, I'm like, fuck, that must stink.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna open to a random page and see.
And not like a cool stink, not like gunpowder and blood, like BO and hairspray and Axe.
All right, I did manage to open to the Dianoga page.
Oh, let's go.
And it does it. There's some definite stink there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's stink on it.
It just stinks. The whole thing, like.
Yeah, so the first issue is all about Cade going to hand himself in. And we do get the introduction of Key and the Wookiee, which I forget his name.
Doesn't matter.
The problem was I kept thinking I knew his name, and then someone would, like, all the scenes with them all together, they have people just saying Huttese at the start of it, and it's like, oh, that's his name, and it just overrode it in my mind. But it's Hutt slang that they were saying before his name. But
yeah, we dropped a hard Uccini on page 6. Okay,
we can't. Do you want you want the stream to be ad limited again after your last?
Oh, we're not making any money on Nal Hutta today. Your video's been blocked in the corporate sector authority.
Well, it already was because I mentioned OSHA.
Yeah, that's true. OSHA and the CSA. What's the other one? It
was OSHA in May.
No. Oh, the centrality. The Lando one.
It's so fun.
Hegemony.
All the ideas of like the Empire being this smaller thing with all these other states around it that was so much more prominent in older stuff. That's fun. But
yeah, I really like that. I don't like it, but it's fun.
I was reading Ultimate Alien Anthology, I think it was, for a video I was making. And it came out in 2003, so I'm not sure why it does this, but it claimed, like, it has part of it on either the Quarren or Mon Calamari, where the Quarren blame the Mon Calamari desire to explore for drawing the attention of the Empire, as if, like, the Mon Calamari were just off on their own before, explored out, and then that made the Empire aware that Mon Calamari was a thing. But I don't think even by that point that matches up with any lore we had. So it just makes it seem like they're still salty 5,000 years later.
Yeah, it's weird.
A video coming out on Mon Calamari history is next week.
Sweet.
Watch it, and I'll get 5,000 views.
I mean, your channel, it's on the up and up, so.
Not in the last couple months. I haven't put out enough good videos. Very sad.
Sounds like a you problem, buddy.
It is a me problem. I'm not blaming anyone else for it. Well, Kazoo. It's Kazoo's fault, really. But we in the second issue tonight, we have a little Moff Council meeting. There's the short little hologram man who just looks like someone's grandpa just accidentally turned up in the meeting, which I thought was fun. I don't think he says anything. But all the Grand Admirals are also Moffs, which some of the original Grand Admirals were. Not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like Morlish Veed, Grand Admiral, and Moff. The other guy, Yage, Rolf Yage? Rolf Yage. He is also a Grand Admiral and a Moff. The Chiss guy, he's a Moff. But I would like...
He's also blue.
He's blue. He's blue. People always say, oh, the Fel Empire included the Chiss Ascendancy. They're talking about it as a distinct polity in this.
Yeah, you're right there.
Distinct polity, people. Just because there's a blue Moff doesn't mean that they were part of it.
Yeah. I mean, he almost seems like he's talking about like the sins of his homeland, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. That's a good point.
Because apparently, for a lot of the time, like maybe the Fel Empire did have closer ties with them. But they're talking about how Emperor Fel is taking refuge in the Chiss Ascendancy, but it's not like integrated into the Fel Empire.
Which, like, kind of weird when you look at the name Fel and where they were hanging out.
Well, they were mostly with the Empire of the Hand instead of the Chiss. Anyways.
But I mean, those two became the same.
Sort of. The Chiss didn't want any of those other stinky aliens joining. Like, the other species that were, like, the Stormtroopers and everything, they weren't... The Chiss Ascendancy was not looking for that.
Yeah.
They're way too racist.
Yeah.
They let, like, 6 Imperials live with them, and that's it.
To make bioweapons in peace.
Well... You gotta have somebody use them on, I guess, so... They had to do it for other people's wars. Yeah. What I want to know is what that, like... It looks like a squid and a shark, or in a shrimp put together at the restaurant. When they're having their family dinner.
I did like that scene.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Especially going back knowing that it's actually Cade's mother in disguise.
Yeah. Which, I don't know why they did that, but...
Yeah. Well...
I just can't help them.
We have Cade getting tortured a lot, but he gives himself over to the tutorship, the tutelage of Darth Talon and Darth Krayt, once Jarius Sin and Delilah Blue are turned into little Yuuzhan Vong critters, so he has to force heal them.
Yeah, it was disturbing.
They were so spiky.
They were.
It is kind of weird.
Still have the cleavage out, of course.
Yeah. Well, does anyone not in this comic? And to be fair, Cade as well, equal opportunity.
Oh yeah, Cade's mom, Cade's dad, and Force Ghost form.
Mm-hmm.
Cade's Wookiee friend, Cade's Zeltron friend.
Well, Wookiees are always shirtless, so
Yeah, that's true.
it is kind of funny though that like Krayt's whole problem is that he's getting eaten by his Vadun armor, which is also keeping him alive. But the helmet he can just take on and off as he likes.
Yeah. Well, the helmet is like, wasn't there someone in Star Wars canon who was like had the same helmet?
Well, Bane had a similar looking helmet.
No, like an Krayt helmet. Someone, I'm sure someone knows. Um, yeah, it's been in Star Wars canon. I'm sure someone has to know it.
Yeah.
There's like an alien who has it. Anyone in the chat know? Keep yapping. I'll find it.
Okay. Well, on top of we get some extra not entourage, fuck. Subterfuge within the Sith story, an extra entourage where Darth Nil, he's not so happy about how things are going in the Sith, and he's like, well, what if I don't want Cade to be in charge? What if I want to be the next one in charge? Him and Malady are cooking up some shit.
Mm-hmm.
He's also very
Malady's
emo.
my favorite.
Malady's your favorite?
Yeah.
She doesn't have that much going on yet.
I like her design. Yeah. I just think her design's neat.
Okay.
She looks innocent, but she's like the nastiest one.
Okay, George. She's a Deveronian. I thought she was something else. But Nil is a Nagai. I was checking that to be 100% sure. Because that edgy, he's got to be listening to MCR. So we know that already.
Yeah.
Like, he's sitting there listening to the Black Parade, wondering why he can't be in charge next.
Just furious the whole time because
only Gerard Way understands me.
Yeah. And like Krayt's big and bulky. It'd be when we're gonna have our first skater boy Sith Lord.
Like, is Darth Malady Avril Lavigne?
Yeah, she might be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have we already had our first skater boy Sith Lord? There's a lot of Sith in the one Sith.
Yeah, well, not Sith Lord. Maybe like what's his name? The Inquisitor from Dark Empire.
Oh.
No. Billy Idol from Dark Empire.
Cedrus.
Cedrus, yeah. I already mentioned him earlier. Yeah. I think he's got to be up there.
Yeah.
I'm watching Alex's video about this mask, and I'm trying to I'm trying not to listen, but the YouTube captions is not good enough for me to find something to actually search up. So, but yeah, there's a mask. I'll put it in the X crew chat. There's a mask that looks like Darth Krayt, and there's one of the people from the High Republic Adventures wears it. So,
I should probably learn more about Star Wars.
Yeah, you should.
But all I do is videos on politics in Star Wars, and I'm running out of politicals.
When is New Politics going to drop?
Well, you kind of just have to go backwards with it.
Yeah.
Like if I do the Jedi as Plato's conception of the kings,
Mm-hmm.
There you go. But then I'd have to read the Republic again, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, that sounds. I don't think I'd watch that video either, if I'm being honest. That sounds really boring.
Okay, well, what I do is boring videos that people sometimes watch. So, that's what it's for. I found my niche, and it's boring.
There's 13 people. They're pretty into it.
But they each donate $1,000 a month on Patreon.
That'd be nice.
Again, the basement The basement is expensive.
So did you get any better quotes?
We're just cutting stuff from the quote that I'm just gonna do myself until basically we're not gonna get any kind of floor. Because most of it's reasonable, it's just the carpet that's like
Yeah.
the carpet cost is insane.
The Jedi, by the way, I remembered it's Court. Qort.
Oh, Quart? Everyone knows Quart.
Yeah. Look him up and tell me he doesn't have the mask on.
It's a rock.
It even has like the exact same
Yeah.
like how it cuts off right like above the chin.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's like that, but it is.
It do be like that.
It's a Von Dune crab skull mask. That's what it is in canon.
Huh.
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 So what's a Von Dune crab then? Apparently it's a crab. So yeah, okay. So it is a Von Dune crab. So I guess Von Dune crabs aren't from the Yuuzhan Vong galaxy anymore.
Traditional Vadoon crab. Vadoon.
Yeah. So
It's just a crab.
yeah, it's just goddamn, it's just a crab now.
A lock scene is where the Yuuzhan Vong are from.
Yeah.
You love to
Anything
see
else
it.
you want to talk about with this comic?
I'm just gonna. So we talked about his time in captivity. We've alluded to Nil's plans. Episode or issue 19 was the rescue mission, getting Cade out of the grips of the Sith. We got a nice moment between Sin and Cade. Although Blue is very upset because they rigged some Yuuzhan Vong beetles with audio and camera equipment, and he was caught.
Yeah.
He was caught in 4K.
Yeah.
Him and Talon. They can you say it? You know I don't like saying it.
They were canoodling.
Yeah, they were canoodling.
Yeah.
Every panel of Darth Krayt during the duel looks weird. He just looks like he's out of it.
Yeah, he's a big dude. So, for you, do you know that meme? That used to be a classic meme.
I don't know what you're saying.
So it was so it's from the third Batman movie. And Bane and the police guy or the FBI guy are on a plane together. Do you remember that scene?
I've never seen any of them.
Okay, so you never seen any of the new Batman movies?
No.
Well, they're not new anymore. The Christian Bale ones.
Yeah, I haven't.
What the fuck?
The only Batman movie I've seen is from the 90s. It's the one where the Poison Ivy's there and Robin kisses her and then he's like,
poison lips.
But I've got
poison lips are immune to your charms.
I've got saran wrap on me. And then she's shocked. That's all I remember from the only Batman movie I've ever seen.
I say that to the boys so much that it's really weird. My poison lips or my rubber lips are immune to your charms. But yeah, it's not new Batman. The first one's 20 years. Anyway, they're on the plane, and the FBI agent is like, because Bane, he wears like the mask.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Can you take that mask off?" And Bane goes, "It would be very painful." And the FBI agent goes, "You're a big guy." And then he goes, "For you." So the meme is just, "You're a big guy for you," because the dialogue is like completely like, why would he say you're a big guy as if that has to do with how much it would hurt to take the mask off?
I'm big for you, but I'm the same size for me.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a pretty old meme, but
yeah, we get Cade escapes. Talon survives.
Yeah,
just a little impaled. Nil gets knocked down. And Morrigan goes off to lunch with Morlish Feed as Nina Clixt.
Yep.
So that's where we are in Legacy.
I hope Cade tries to fuck him at some point.
Fuck him?
Yeah.
Morlish?
Yeah.
Bit old for him.
Stepdaddy.
Do you think that Sin and Cade's mom got together in the biblical sense?
No, she was just
No.
teasing him. Yeah. I
Mm,
do like how he seems to have nothing against older women though, which I appreciated.
yeah. A little teaser for next Legacy episode. There's a lot of ships. We get
Yeah,
a lot
I
of Pellions. We get a lot of we get the front cover has the Scythe on it and
iceberg.
some nice big art, and there's a whole Galactic Alliance fleet soon after. So that's all to come.
But next week we will be doing something far more interesting. Mask of Fear. I'd say a third of the way through.
Okay, how are you feeling so far?
I like it. I like it.
Okay.
I like that Mon Mothma is a liberal. In that, like, and I mean that in like a derogatory sense. Like
But not in
Mon
the
Mothma.
derogatory sense you're thinking.
No, yeah, yeah. Mon Mothma thinks she can legislate her way out of the Empire.
Yes.
Like Mon Mothma, like just a slight spoilers, but it's set what like 2 months after Revenge of the Sith,
Yeah.
if that, like 2-3 months, and they're all obviously um, trying to figure out what to do, and Mon Mothma, you know, she doesn't. Again, it's very slight spoilers. This is right at the beginning of the book. I don't think she understands just how fucked up things are.
Yeah.
Like she thinks
And it's
the
hard to.
Empire. Yeah, but like that's what I mean when I say like she's kind of a liberal. Like she's
Yeah.
like she'll be like you if the Star Wars universe was real, you'd be getting emails from Mon Mothma saying like Palpatine just defeated our recent proposal, but we've got a plan. Donate $3 and
But also ignore AOC. I mean Bail Organa,
like
because
no,
he's annoying.
someone needs to shoot him. Someone needs to murder him. And I don't know, like I just feel like I'm going to it's kind of funny where like you think about her like trying to make these advanced, like sophisticated political deals and like before long she's basically gonna be in a fucking bunker, like
Yeah.
surrounded by ammunition and yeah.
Yeah, I feel the book I think takes you down a good exploration of how Mon Mothma and Bail get to where they ultimately get to. So I really enjoyed it so far. I haven't once we knew when we were going to do it, I slowed down my reading, so I haven't actually finished it yet
Okay.
because I wanted to not have to reread it.
We can finish together.
Yeah, but when are we going to do the book?
Oh yeah, no, after we do that.
Okay. Well, I'm not happy with myself. But yeah, anything else?
Nope.
I didn't get bored. Chattering says I got bored. I didn't get bored. What happened? I was planned out the podcast for once, and I was reading it when we first got Kazoo. What I'd have to do when I wanted him to nap is like put him in the crate and sit in front of it for like 15 minutes while he fell asleep. And so I'd read in that period, but then I don't have to do that anymore. So my designated reading time went away and I stopped reading anything, and that made me sad as well. So yeah. And for the last few weeks, I've been rereading NJO for a different thing that I have to work on. Wow.
Get a grip, dude.
I get paid for this.
The whole world of literature. You've got 1,000-year-old homes.
I'm rereading Dark Tide Ruin.
Let's reread book 13.
What if there's a note about the color of Yerick cores that I missed the first 5 times? And there was.
That's the deep philosophical learnings that.
Yeah, there's also, I'm trying to write down all the quotes of Jason thinking he's special, so. I'm not a normal person. I have more responsibility.
The 5,000 people who actually care about the Star Wars expanded universe and not just hating on Disney are going to be super pumped. I know I will be.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't just go on fucking Chat GPT, write in, do a summary of this Wikipedia page, and then say that Arca Jeth was killed by Omen.
I don't know what you talk about, man. That would be wild if that happened.
Would be wild if that happened. It would be wild if that happened.
That would be wild if that happened.
Right. Anything you actually want to comment on before we go?
No.
Before I get you in trouble?
Me and we'll talk about it.
What?
We'll get some beers in me, then we'll talk about it.
Okay. on the upcoming X2 stream.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep. On the upcoming X2 stream of Splitgate, which I don't know when he's got it scheduled to start, but I assume soon. So.
All right. So we'll see some of you there. If not, we'll see you next week for.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. Read the book. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Also, tabletop on Monday. We'll be back. We took this week off because most of the people involved hadn't slept. So 2 more sessions left. Please watch. I paid a lot of money.
Oh, also, if you enjoy what we do here, we did the first episode of the X2 podcast. We had movies to talk about. It was entertaining.
Yes. If you want to watch us review other stuff, technically more on topic than we usually are here, that exists.
Yeah.
So, bye, everyone.
Goodbye.